Call to order. That said call to order.
Okay.
And roll call. Ginger, do you want to do roll call?
Sure, if you guys can hear me okay.
We can.
Sure.
Okay, so Rory,
Here.
Carrie,
Here.
Ginger, I'm here. Jeannie,
Here,
Liz,
Liz, sadly has had to, resign effective this
Oh.
month. She's having some health issues and
oh goodness.
we've notified, Katie to advertise, to open for receiving applications.
Okay. All right, thank you for letting me know. That's sad. Okay, Laura,
Here.
Teresa,
Here.
Corin,
Mostly here.
Emily.
She's not here yet.
Yeah, okay. Yvonne,
Here.
Sanan.
Here.
And then I think we have a new person, right?
That's me, Jim Rhodes.
Jim Rhodes. Okay. All right. I've got you on here, Jim Rhodes. Okay.
Hey, so, I moved to approve the minutes from last time.
Second.
Okay. And then we'll add, introducing ourselves to Jim and Jim introducing himself to us. Actually, I did have it on the agenda because I thought there was a good likelihood to be approved.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry to be officious. So we need to do something after the second.
Approved, yeah. I think,
oh, should I say that?
Yeah.
Approved. With the look, okay,
all in favor.
Aye.
Doing the minutes.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce yourself first or meet others first?
Well, right, I wanted to be on this committee. I have no particular agenda other than the fact that it sounded like something that would be interesting. I'm a yard engineer. I used to work at various jobs in my house, but most recently I was working for the Department of Natural Resources in environmental engineering for a long time. Since then, I've been retired. I do stuff. I've been a member of the Ethical Society for a long time. I'm a member. I just got off some. I got off the Sierra Club. I was treasurer for the Sierra Club Eastern Missouri group, and also I was active in the Jefferson County Democratic Club there too. Treasurer there. But a friend of mine, Clark Hotelling, who's a Webster Groves resident, is on the, I think, traffic committee here, was telling me that there might be openings on green space, and I've had sort of an interest in that. It just sounded like something that would be interesting, so I thought I would apply. So here I am.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Talk about the door on.
I'm Laura Jordan. I've been on the commission, I think about 4 years. And let's see, I'm an accountant. I love native plants and gardening and trees. And I enjoy this commission very much and help with, well, the Trees of Distinction program. And we were doing the Green Our City when we were doing that the last few years. I helped with that and other things too.
I'm Corin Purcell. I'm an archaeology professor and a weird plant radical.
Where do you
No,
teach?
you're not.
Where do you teach?
St. Louis University, Western University, formerly Washington University.
Archaeology?
I teach a bunch of stuff actually, but among them is archaeology. That's my background.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
My name is Sinan Alpasar. I'm the Public Works Department representative, civil engineer by trade. ENR, actually, right now, we're interacting with ENR on a lot of small technology, given Webster Groves, and MSD and USGS, and so might come to you to consult.
Oh, yeah. My expertise was in water, wastewater, sewage. But I do have some understanding of like a quality control stuff like that. And I'm also a native plant advocate. I have a native plant card. So
Great.
it's kind of cool.
I'm Yvonne, I'm the park superintendent at your service.
Wow, parks.
There are staff liaisons. We have a city council liaison as well, and that's Emily Hickson. Not here,
I
right?
used to live in Glendale. and Glendale doesn't have any parks. I moved to Webster Groves in 2019. I realized Webster Groves has 18 or 20 parks.
20.
20. So it's a lot of parks. Really good. So.
I'm Carrie Coleman. And I've been on the commission probably 8 years. And my background is landscape architecture and horticulture. And I'm the co-chair or vice chair, I guess is what it's called. And I'm very interested in helping to steward the green spaces and finding ways for the city to do an even better job than they're already doing with a lot of our green spaces. So and trees, very interested in trees and tree planting and the community forest and that sort of green infrastructure.
Hi, I'm Rory Dealey. I am also recently retired and I started with the commission 3 meetings ago. So I'm next in line, just newest before you. Thrilled to have you with your background. My background is in grants, resource development, partnerships, that sort of thing. In St. Louis with the community college system here. Before that on the East Coast with Amtrak and with the Environmental Defense Fund. So that's sort of full circle to here.
And I started at the same time, so just third meeting now. My background, my undergrad was in biology, very master plants, native plant enthusiast. I don't know what else to say. Things. My name is Teresa. Yes. Thank you.
No, I think.
Emily's finding it in.
Oh, it is locked. But it wouldn't say closed unless.
It's a lot of common interest here.
Yes,
This is like for
Why
introduction.
don't you sit here?
Oh. You're just in time to introduce yourself to John and your member.
Jim.
Jim, that's what I like.
I'm Emily.
Oh, hi.
I'm the council liaison.
So are we a commission or a committee?
Commission.
And I'm Jeannie. And I joined a year ago, January, so 15 months ago, and became chair in February. And I'm a semi-retired occupational therapist.
Right.
Okay, no visitors, so we'll go right into our business.
Oh, did Ginger introduce herself?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ginger.
No. I don't
Try
like.
to get away.
She doesn't like to be on camera, but.
Yeah, so I've been on the commission since 2014. I love native plants and saving the trees. I am currently a preschool teacher. I'm in my 3rd year, but previously I ran a home daycare for 15 years. And I've got a college freshman, a high school freshman, both boys, and then a 3rd grade daughter. They all keep me pretty busy. So I try to do it all. I always supply the Boy Scouts for the flag ceremony for Arbor Day, and I always hope to have a good turnout of them as well when we do Make a Difference Day each year. But yeah, anyway, I try to help with everything that I can. So welcome, Jim. Nice to have you. We're going to do some fun stuff.
Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is to review the roadmap that I got from everyone. So I made 4 copies, so if we can share to it at that end. And I can email
this to
Sure,
you,
sure.
and you can think about where you sign up. So we have a very nice distribution. Everyone got their own color. So you can see the names. So the existing program, EcoEd, is Carrie, Rory, and myself. Green or City, Ginger, Carrie, Rory, Teresa. Leave the Leafs, Corin, Jeannie, Teresa. No Mo, Corin and Jeannie. Trees of Distinction, Laura. And then if you look at new programs, tree preservation ordinance, Laura, comprehensive plan process engagement and recommendations. Thank you, Cory.
I asked for that.
Your name
I
was
shall
there.
do it.
Yes, you did.
It won't be for.
I walk up
It won't.
anyone else.
You can, you know.
I can join Lori.
Yay, thank you.
And then the native plant watershed awareness actually included signage. I put it under it as a bullet point, but actually, Corin, Teresa, Laura, Carrie, and Rory, signed up for that combination. And then grant funding, Rory and myself, planting ordinance, Corin. So far, no one for the urban forestry best management practices.
Seems like right up your
Yeah.
alley.
Yeah, put my name on there.
I wasn't trying.
No, no, I'm got
It's like
notes
got your
going on
name
right
all
now.
over it.
Then the videos that we've talked about, I signed up. And then Dark Skies, Corin and Ginger. And then under the other comments, Rory said he would do volunteer outreach, data collection, and recognition efforts. You're busy. So I can email this to everyone so you could have it electronically. And Jim, you can review this at your
Yeah.
leisure and let me know what areas interest you. And if anyone wants to change, if you see it in writing and you think that's a little too much for me, you know, just let me know. But this is our roadmap. Any questions? So far, we're good with that? Okay. Next, we're gonna talk about the budget. I think I only made a few copies of this. Trying not to waste too much paper. So the last Monday, Yvonne was at the city council meeting, as was Emily and Sanan, and I was in the delightful position, well, Jim was the very first thing, his interview with the city council. And I think I was blessed by being 6 of 7 people to report, so I got less questions. I think it went well. What I did, you know, I to be honest, I don't even really have a personal budget. So this was all kind of new to me. So I just tried to replicate last year's. But we had $4,000 that we weren't gonna have in our budget because Public Works is purchasing trees for Green Our City as opposed to green space. So I divided that $4,000 between 2 things and put, this is not the whole one. I put 2,000 in the native plant and 2,000 in the educational outreach. So each of those went up by 2,000. And the only question really was regarding the native plant. I think there was concern that we were gonna buy thousands of dollars of native plants. But what,
Well, it's native plant watershed awareness, so that signage for the watershed.
Yes.
so once that was understood, and I fortunately had copied these signage examples and showed them and passed them around. And that was really the only question, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So we were encouraged to talk only for 9 minutes, so that was a blessing as well.
Everybody stayed on time too, like it was a pretty smooth
They
meeting.
moved at a
Yeah,
pace.
yeah. And it was nice that everybody kind of stayed to hear the other commissions too.
To hear each other
Yeah.
was interesting. I didn't know we had, what was that, police?
Oh, police community engagement program.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very interesting.
So city council will look at all the reports and then there'll be a letter back to each board and commission with like, looks good, budget approved, or tweak this, or focus on, add this there. There weren't a ton of changes last year, but I think a couple of commissions, there were like some little direction from council on, like for planning commission, for example, it was like, we really like you to look at occupancy permits and accessory dwelling units. So there might be something like that. But we'll see what council says. Assuming we'll look at it the next and meet, which is a week from tomorrow.
There was quite an impressive, well, the mayor, gave it a tremendous shout out and thanked everyone and talked about how good Webster Groves is with citizen participation. And there was a man there on the advisory architectural review board who'd been doing it for many years, I think 8 or 9 years.
8 years, and they meet twice a
Twice a
month.
month. Wow.
Yeah.
And he spoke and it was just impressive. It felt good to be part of such a vibrant and lively. So hopefully it will be approved or direct us in a different way that will be helpful as well. Any questions about the annual report or budget? Okay, so next, Corin, you want to talk about, and I mentioned that they hadn't received your letter, it was in the pipeline, and a few people nodded like they had received your letter.
Ah,
Or we know, we've definitely talked about it, that it's coming.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause I think the last official update we got was that it had been presented to sustainability.
Yep.
And they were gonna, I don't know if they're gonna do a subcommittee or talk about it more, but kind of the message was that Green Space was probably gonna go ahead and promote it anyway, while sustainability is figuring out. So is that kind of in line with?
Yep. I went to the sustainability meeting. Emily's already pretty much.
Sorry.
Which is great, actually. So I went there. They were into it. Jake actually gave a talk.
Oh.
A talk which was much shorter than the talk he gave to us. Actually, he's a great speaker. His talk last time was like an hour long. We learned so much. Now he's slimmed it down to like 20 minutes.
Okay.
So
Good.
yeah.
That's great.
So they seemed convinced by it, and I spoke very briefly and just said what we were doing, that we'd written a letter, that we were sending it up to our staff liaison within the month. We would love it if they would join. They said they wanted to take some time to think about it. So they were going to meet one more time and decide whether they were going to, endorse and also send it up.
Did they have dark skies or lights addressing issues of light pollution or the light ordinances in their forever Webster plan?
Yes,
Okay.
and in paragraph 1 of our letter, it tells you exactly where.
Okay.
wherever Webster
That's all right. I
plan
must
they talk.
have read that.
No, it's all right. I don't expect you to write a letter. I was joking 6 weeks ago.
That's good. So
Yeah.
did they talk about that? Like,
I didn't mention it explicitly.
Okay.
I'm hoping that they looked at the letter and saw that we're actually citing their documents.
Yeah.
For it. So,
just sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I have a friend who's, I know a person who's on Dark Skies. We had a talk at the Ethical Society on, so what is the goal of that whole thing? Just to make people aware of
no,
it somehow or?
no, we're encouraging the city to modify its ordinances. The modification is subtle. It's basically just lights that are currently too bright or aimed at the sky should be dimmer or aimed down. There's a whole lot of verbiage that mostly accomplishes that. There's some other minor tweaks trying to make things more consistent, like
City lights are all, everyone's lights.
ideally everyone's lights. Technically, the ordinances already apply to private lights. I don't know how much it's enforced. But like there's rules about light trespass already. Now they should be, if the city approves this, they'll be codified in a clear way in one location.
So can I make a confession?
Sure.
So my wife really likes uplights, so I put these uplights on for this tree in front of our house and says, no, this is really not good. So
If
we
they're
just really
really
have this
bright.
agreement that if people are coming over and that we can put the uplights on just for a while while they come.
Yeah.
And I even had it off because I know about this issue. Oh, she really likes
One thing.
Well, I think it's similar to like the no-mo, right? Like you can,
Yeah.
there's a range of like, maybe you just turn them off and they don't stand all night long, but you still have them for when
Oh,
you
yeah.
want.
There's a guy on the street that has lights on around his house all day long.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
One thing Jake suggests is a timer.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're using it, or like until 10, it's
Right.
on when people might be in space, and after that it snaps off the rest of the day.
And I feel like when he gave the presentation to Green Space, wasn't he also saying that if we had this in the code, that it would help when Ameren is replacing the
Yes.
lights?
Yes,
So right now, they can replace them with kind of whatever they want.
and they're using
Why
us
some
as
of
a
them,
dumping.
ours are purple.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But
They give
we
us
have
whatever.
this on the books, then they have to follow.
Yeah.
what that code is.
Now, ideally, that means minimal cost to the city, because we would be
Yeah.
replacing those lights anyway. All it does is change what light Ameren puts in. At least that's the hope. Let's see, did I miss anything? I think that's it. It did get sent up? Fine. So,
I sent it to my boss.
Okay.
And so he's working
Yeah.
through that process.
then the rest is
I'll
up.
check with him too.
Did sustainability say when they might?
They were
talk
gonna
about
meet
it?
one more time.
Okay.
I think they have a meeting, this week? Next week, this week or next week?
Yeah.
So I think if we're lucky, we'll get a message from them shortly. And Karen Anderson asked me for a copy of the ordinance. This morning, and I sent it to her. So they should be fully prepared.
Right. People?
So it seems like you might be the first one to hear, Yvonne?
I should, and I'll check with James tomorrow to see how far he got with it. So I think he's supposed to make a recommendation to his boss. And then that's the next.
It's James. James is sort of new, right?
Yes.
What's his last name?
Boyd, Boyd.
It's like new but not new, right?
Yeah, right.
He was here once before.
Boyd.
His picture was in the paper.
Yeah.
He looked kind of young.
And then it'll go up to Scott.
If they have any questions, I'm sure I or Jake would be
Okay.
enthusiastic.
Yeah, I
about
sent the recommendation.
Deeply appreciated, Cory. Thank you.
it. My pleasure. Hope it works.
Next, Carrie to speak about EcoWed.
Go Ed. So we had an Eco Ed event last week, Tuesday. Scott Woodbury, was supposed to speak at the event, and he did not make it to the event. So
Did you hear from him ever?
I did hear from him, and he got caught up in work things, is basically what happened. So we we had a big crowd too, I think it's 25.
23, 24 people, enthusiastic crowd. and
Wow.
Carrie's up there, like,
Oh.
he's not here.
That was on his rainy night.
No,
Yeah, it started before.
right, but it had kind of cleared up.
This is a public meeting.
Yeah, an educational, so we have a series called Eco Ed that we do with the Sustainability Commission. And we kind of alternate organizing the speakers for the event. He was very, very apologetic. And I'm gonna talk to him about rescheduling for July or August. Because currently we were planning to take those 2 months off. So I'm gonna try and organize that with Karen Anderson, who is the Sustainability Commission sort of coordinator on the Eco Ed. But I think we did I don't know, maybe one of you guys could talk about it, but I think we did a good job sort of talking about cause we didn't cancel the meeting. I said, you're allowed to leave if you're
but
if
no
you
one
want
did.
to.
There were people there that knew about so many different programs regarding native plants in the area, and just people took turns, and you carried a lot of that load, but I think people learned a lot.
Yeah.
And people said, so Carrie talked about Merrimack, Karen talked about the Sustainability Commission. There was someone there who's high up in the wild ones, someone there who's works for open spaces. I talked about green space. And kind of just what's going on, and people came up afterwards and said that they actually really enjoyed that, and they felt, because I was standing near the door saying, I'm so sorry that this happened, and do you want a cookie? And I felt like this was really interesting.
I still
Yeah.
We plugged Rainscape.
And grow native,
Everything.
big time, yeah, we talked about Arbor Day. And
Yeah, yeah. And afterwards, this one woman came up and said she recognized me. I did not recognize her, but I had her daughter in my children's yoga class. And she came up and she said, you have all the good jobs. That's pretty nice too. So it was disappointing, but Harry amazingly made it appear very seamless. Well, let's just talk. And people got it, you know, no one seemed disappointed or fussy.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, there were kids there
Yeah.
too, yeah. Yeah, so our next Eco Ed is in September 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember the date, but it's a Tuesday, in the evening, and it's going to be at the Brentwood Park. And we're gonna be talking stormwater, and I talked to Sanan, and he's gonna be able to be there too, to talk about some of the things that are happening with the sewers in the city and projects that you're working on with MSD. So it'll be Sanan, it'll be Sam, do you know Sam's last name? Whoosh. From MSD, and then the engineers, excuse me, who designed the Brentwood Park stormwater solution and all that there. So that should be a really great Eco Ed, and we're gonna have again some refreshments for networking, and hopefully some folks from council will be there because the city of Brentwood's gonna be there as well. They're hosting us in this location at no cost, and they're gonna talk about their project as well. And MSD is gonna also talk about the wetland that's just west of or south of the Metro building. So that project that's going on there for, I guess, Webster and Brentwood, everybody's involved in that project. So it'll be interesting to learn about that. So that's gonna start, maybe you could send out the list again, and that way Jim will have it, but everybody could have a reminder. Yes, that's September 1. In between then, I think that the Sustainability Commission is gonna do something about solar. Probably that might be the June meeting, actually. And then July and August, unless Scott wants to come in.
And May's Arbor Day, though.
Yeah, May 7th is the Arbor Day. Eco Ed at
Ivory
Crockett Park.
And the planting will be at 5, and then the ceremony immediately following. We're only planting 20 trees. And then ceremony, and then Eco Ed.
Right after the ceremony, Billy Haig from Forest Relief will be there talking about young tree care, so planting and maintaining young trees. I need to get you a flyer for advertising that.
Okay.
I'll copy you on.
I like the tree giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
tree, that's
Yeah, there's gonna be nice,
really
giveaway
exciting.
trees.
Oh, I should put that on the flyer.
Let me show you the flyer that.
Oh, yeah.
Ian made, and then if we wanna enhance it, maybe,
I just wanna make sure that Eco went on there too. so-
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll send it to you.
that's great.
He did.
So I'm not trying to be gossipy, but I mentioned to my husband, who's a mechanical engineer, he used to work at the botanical garden, about our speaker not showing up, and he said, not surprised. For what it's worth.
Well, Scott, I don't know if anybody has heard Scott would speak before, but he's very knowledgeable. He used to,
Scott Woodbury.
Scott Woodbury.
yeah, he managed the Whitmire Wildflower Garden at Shaw Nature Reserve for a really long time. And he's got a lot going on. He can be a little forgetful, but again, he was very apologetic. So
Very knowledgeable.
very.
He knows more than anyone about native plants.
Yeah. So we'll try for July or August. So that's the update for the Eco Ed.
Okay. So I inserted, a little thing, two little things here, about, No Mow April. While we were at the library last Tuesday, hanging outside, like looking as I'm driving up, I noticed that their grass was newly mowed. And I thought, oh darn, the library's not doing No Mow April. So I wrote up a little letter, we'll just pass it around. And the people who are signed up for No Mow, well, that's Corn and myself. What I thought is writing to the mayor and the city manager and just saying, we would really appreciate your support of this initiative. Oh, and this past Saturday, Carrie was working at it. I went to the Partners for Native Landscaping half-day thing, and they were shouting out Webster, especially about No Mow April. And I'm like, well, we've really seen the library mowed. And then this big shout out about the program, I felt obligated, and here I signed up for it, to advance it. So I thought that in Corn, you can keep that copy and we can email each other and you can edit it. I thought we just sent it and ask them, could we, like, as soon as you say yes, stop mowing at City Hall and fire stations and
We
parks?
probably need to talk about that with Vaughn first.
Yeah, I know there's a few properties that we're gonna do the no mow. And there's, big areas like the woods at Blackburn, which I really never want to have mowed, but we have such a small staff that we have to do some mowing, and we definitely have to mow our ball fields for play. So it'll be sort of pick and choose what we can keep up with, because when we started this a couple years ago, it takes us almost a month to get the grass back down to a manageable. So we have to make all the citizens happy, and there's just as many people who want perfectly mowed turf. So there's sort of a balance, but we'll definitely take advantage of some areas. And I know City Hall, I'm pretty sure the city manager always wants us to have that to be on the no mow. And so that's our plan for City Hall.
Should I email you that letter too, so you
I
can?
would not send that.
Well, I'm wondering if,
I don't think we should either,
Oh, really?
because I think they're already participating.
yeah,
So this
So-
makes it sound like we think that they're not.
And we don't take care of
Okay.
we don't take care of the
the
library.
library.
That's not one of our properties. And I don't know who takes care of that.
I'm sure they contract it.
Yeah.
Out.
I think,
We've kind of like done this so that it's encouraged by the city, and we adjusted the ordinance, so there's no penalty for people that wanna have their lawns higher, but to make it still a optional thing and to be kind of whatever works, and we have great support from the Parks Department. Yvonne's team already doesn't, you know, like she just described, like, you know, has a plan for what works well for the park, so I don't know that there's any need to have a reinforced support of it, because we already have good support, and I don't see it becoming like more mandatory or.
But we might want to talk to the library.
Yeah.
directly,
Or-
Rather than the city,
Yeah.
it's already on board.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked to anyone at the library about whether they'd be interested.
Yeah, maybe targeting some of the institutions like the library and Webster, and the school district,
Maybe some school.
Webster University and the school district. Especially, I mean, now, but especially next year ahead of NOMO, like, you know, February, March. That might be a way to get some big swaths participating, because the city got some pretty good support there already.
Also the business district commission, I'm not sure
Oh,
if that's
yeah.
their title, but I know there's like Maypop, I forget her name. Who's on the commission from Maypop?
Yeah.
Her,
Yeah.
Tammy Bain, you know, they do NOMO at their facility, so I bet other commissions would help spread the word too. So I mean, maybe a letter like that to the other commissions, and to other organizations.
I think that would be nice, especially if we have some, little bit of money that we pull from, you know, because of the trees or something like that. And it is, you know, we're in April now, so, to say, if you reached out to the library, they may be in the same position that you mentioned, in that, you know, we're gonna do this part, but we could actually give you this little part. And we provide some information on why it's a good thing to do. And they're a library, they should be open to disseminating some information and putting a sign out in that area that looks like, unlike the other areas, and saying, why are we doing this? You know, that's what you all did in the, in between the bridges in Larson Park. I was like, this is wild, what's going on here? I'm gonna walk my dog here, and then I go over and read the sign, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is intentional.
Yeah.
And this is the benefit of it, so.
We do have signs, and we could certainly probably arrange to have the library have one without a fee. And we do have some good education. You wrote a whole thing on it. It's on the city's website, and it's been published in the Friday page and other places. So I think we have resources already written up that maybe could just be shared.
And there was, I don't know who put it in there, but I feel like, because there was no name under it, I feel like somehow to give the city credit for it, maybe not, but in the paper last week, there was a blurb about no.
Yeah. And Lo was back and said,
Yeah, but it didn't,
I saw that too.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
And there, Linda Green had a connection at the library, who was very supportive of, like, they have a seed, some sort of
That's right.
seed library or something, like, where a seed exchange of native plants. And, I bet if you talk to her, her name was Debbie, I don't remember her last name, but, she's been there at the library for a long time. I bet she would be totally on board
Yeah.
if they can help, you know?
I'm sure she would post those
Oh,
informational
definitely.
documents we have, and probably put out a book next to it about native plants. She was always
Oh,
really
yeah.
good at doing that.
Connecting.
Uh-huh.
Just to let you know, Yvonne ordered for us, or pushed
Kira.
up the chain, 50 new signs, and I asked at the desk when I got here if they were here yet, and they're not.
Too bad.
So.
There's still 8 signs from last year that are available, first come, first
Right.
served. So James has been, every time someone takes the pledge, and we've had a lot of people take the pledge, so they sign online and they say they're gonna plant this and that, and not mow. He personally responds to them and lets them know that there's a sign available. And so there's still 8 signs left as of right now.
That's an awesome thing for doing.
I can do a social media follow-up about the signs when they come in. Someone will tell me when they're, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I'll let you know.
the community know.
I think he just checked and they still weren't.
Is this our third year?
Lisa,
Yeah,
You may wanna do on social media, or afterwards, last year, like at the end of April, I think it was
This week.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We put a letter together and sent it into the newspaper. And you posted some stuff too about like what to do after, right? Like
Yeah.
with your lawn, how to mow it down, or first of all, look at it. Do you like it? Maybe you don't even need all that lawn you had, but we had some narrative about.
Yeah.
Kind of getting out.
Cause that's one of the complaints, like, you're gonna break your lawnmower, and you're gonna be like, mow
Right.
it all at once, and so it's helpful to have some,
Yeah, so
here's
maybe,
how you could do
I
it.
don't
in a
know
way
if that
that's-
could be on your radar too.
I called the Webster Kirkwood Times to see if they'd be open to hearing from us, and I spoke to one of the Jamie mowers, and she said, just send stuff when we have it and she'll work it. And I was thinking it might be interesting to take photos of people doing no mow. And say, you know, like, here's April 15th, here's April 27th when it got mowed.
Yeah.
Just to give people visuals.
I like it.
Question, I mean. Has there, this is a little different, but has there ever been any consideration of a noise ordinance in Webster Groves that would restrict people's uses of leaf blowers and or lawn mowers at certain times? I'm just
I mean,
curious.
there is a noise ordinance, but I don't believe it addresses lawn equipment in particular.
I mean, it's pretty annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Everybody.
we've all talked
People
about
bring in
that.
these crews from these companies, they.
Leave the leaves. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
It's like, geez, really? I just asked.
I have a neighbor who would fully support doing that. But Sunday morning about 8.
We can even say that, we can even say, you know, encourage the use of electric devices, because they make a lot less noise than the gas devices.
In some of our discussions about leave the leaves, correct me if I'm wrong, Corin, we talked about, you know, that was sort of just a little blurb in some of our narratives. is
Here's a
that-
bonus, it'll be
Yeah.
quiet.
Right.
Yeah. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, just do nothing.
These are my favorite initiatives.
Yes. And I've already had a little social media nonsense about NOMO that I've addressed. I shouldn't call it nonsense, it's not nice. I have, I'm sorry,
Feedback.
yeah, there's been feedback, and I didn't treat it like nonsense. I'm just cranky, I guess. I treated it lightly, and just responded with
So something like Facebook type stuff or something?
yeah, it was Facebook stuff. I've mostly have quit social media, but I'm still on there to do NOMO stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's definitely, it's still out there, the conversation's still out there, but I think the first year we had a lot of this education and posts, here's why we're doing it. Just trying to get people used to the idea, but I think that it's so nice that it's like, do what you wanna do. You wanna do your front yard or your backyard, or just a strip, or not a strip, or whatever, or not at all, like, that's whatever works for you. So I like how it's like, you can take it. So everybody can participate in their own way.
Part of my spin is freedom. We actually have more freedom. More freedom, because no one's telling us what to do.
Just so you know, I had a conversation with somebody from Webster that I work with. And I was talking to her about some of the initiatives we're working on, and she said something about NOMO and, you know, are people reacting better, you know, are people getting used to that? And I said, yeah, I think so. And she said, well, I loved reading this woman's posts on Facebook. Her name is Corin, and she's just, so she really can explain, I won't harp on the she part, but she's very complimentary about your explanations and the, I think, what you put out there, so
how
succinctly and.
I'm becoming a well-known public woman.
That actually, that's
Have
me.
a Facebook profile.
But that's good to hear, Karen.
Yeah.
It's good news. I'm glad that some members of the public.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if in your driving about in Webster, if you see a lawn that has the no mow sign and you wanna like take a picture now and then take a picture in a week. And in another week, and we can get a couple series and put them together and send it to the Webster Concord Times and see if that makes the cut to. I don't know if she did it. She said she didn't want us to have a column, that'd be too much, but that she prints stuff on occasion.
I know Linda used to work with the paper on a lot of publications. It's great.
You guys had, in past years of NOMO, any sort of targeted opposition to that?
I wouldn't say targeted. There's been some citizen opposition.
Okay.
We haven't had any organized opposition.
Okay. And it came up and I was interested and I looked into it. There's sort of Jessica Davion or something like that. She's a gardening person with Associated Press, who was giving people fuel for this is not a good idea to do this. I saw it being parroted around places. So I was trying to, given that I have an affiliation now with this group, I wanted to know what was possibly going to come to me as a question over.
Yeah, I should give you the flyer, or maybe you could send that out to everybody. I think I sent it to you. It was a flyer and a list of white papers that we put together. We've worked with Nicole Miller-Strutman from the University, Webster University, who studies bees and had a big project in across the region. She did a study about bees and used some of her connections with Bring Conservation Home. I don't know if you're familiar with that program, but they basically did a photographic study of bees with participants called Shutter Bee. And then they also did their own studies alongside that. So when we started doing this and getting some opposition or just talk about it, I reached out to her and said, you're really smart, you know about not mowing. Can you help me create a defense for all of this? So she gave me a list of some studies that were cited and why she said that. So I thought we could.
That's great. I'd love to.
So yeah, we should send that around.
So this is another area of agreement between me and my wife, who is a master gardener and a docent down Surrey Botanical Garden. Leads tours of the garden. But when I've talked about this, she really likes things that looks tidy, and she's more into traditional plantings and stuff like that. So it can get to be so bad before she says you need to mow the grass. And really, our front yard is really poor. The grass is just terrible because there's this big oak tree there. And you can go a month and you wouldn't really notice it that much. But the backyard, the grass will get like this high. It's really hard to mow it after a month. It gets to be that high. So it's like one of these tough ones.
I think if you read the stuff we put together, it's not just don't mow, right? It's such a complex subject, and maybe you really want to mow your grass, but there's other things you can do to support pollinators.
The problem is it's really hard to get natives that are do that. Almost requires more work, and I have yet to figure out what I would replace the grass with. I know there's people who talk about that. I'll just talk about people who have ideas on that.
That's a great detail.
Yeah.
I would love to know.
How many people had like that a couple years ago? We do that again.
Just so people know, there's a garden tour coming on Saturday, May 4th. It's Wild
Sunday.
Ones.
Wow.
Oh, Sunday. Wild Ones, and I think another organization or two. It's 10 gardens in Webster. Oh, Bring Conservation Home. And they talked about it at the event this past Saturday. And the Marine Conservation Home guy was saying, you know, this garden tour is unprecedented because 6 of the gardens are platinum level. So it's free, you just need to register. So that. might
No,
be
it's
a
not
way-
free. I think there's a very moderate ticket cost.
I did buy a ticket. It was Saturday that
That
was
was
free.
free.
So it was $20.
And the city's actually supporting that event as well.
There's gonna be plant sale at City Hall.
Right. Correct. Plant sale, and that's where
On that day.
the check-in will be for that event.
Do you want me to send you the link for that when I send out these other things? Okay. Now I'm noticing the time, but we did get a little bit started late. Is everyone good if we go a few minutes past 6?
I do have one thing for Lori as well. In terms of your question about things to keep an eye on, public responses for NOMA. There is no local organized opposition, but at the national level, you could make a case that there is. You'll find these articles, you've seen them, people saying it's a bad idea. If you track back the experts that they interview, in almost every case, it's someone associated with the Turf Grass Institute or a yard care company. And that's one thing I've used to talk to the public, like, look who this expert is. This is so-and-so from the Guelph Turf Grass Institute. Their job is to promote turf grass. They're opposed to it not because it's good or bad practice, but because it's their job to promote yards. So when you're running into this, you might keep an eye out for that. Who are their experts? It's rarely a pollinator expert or a native plant expert. It's usually a yard expert.
That's a good point. I just went through that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, signage, Yvonne? Any updates? Are we in the consideration research?
Well, I did send MDC a request to maybe purchase signs for us or pay for our signs. And I saw her at Tree City USA and she said that she was busy, but she did see my email and that she thought that at the very least MDC might have some wordage that we could use with their permission. So right now what I'm looking at is redoing the Larson Park Rain Garden sign and the Prairie sign at Lockwood Park. So those are the 2 signs that I would like some help with. And it would be nice to change the wording and freshen it up. So I think maybe let's wait to hear back from NBC because they might already have something that we could just put right back and it's perfect. If not, I might ask if this group wants to put together an information board that we can have made.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that.
Sure.
And Sinan, any input about the in-house signages, the plain green ones?
So that's something that we can certainly do. It's more like a marker, and so delineation of where the watershed starts and stuff, because it's probably gonna be difficult to fit a lot of words on those signs, and but also for if it's meant for the vehicles, there's only so much that they read at the surface and such. But we can try and maybe
So you had said these kind of
Yeah.
plainish green ones?
highway type, yeah, those.
Okay.
So they're gonna mark, it's not gonna be interpretive signage.
No,
you
no,
know, it's not
Just
gonna
that
be
you're in a
the-
watershed.
Right, right, just vertical signage to mark areas where we have the Deer Creek watershed, we have the Gravois Creek watershed, and we have the Mackenzie Creek, it's called, but it's pretty much the river up here to the southeast. So those 3, where we mark them would be, I mean, it's gonna be informative. So, it's gonna mean like, okay, if you're past this point, whatever falls on the ground is gonna run this way. And so if you're on the other side of it, it's gonna run the other way. So it's gonna bring an understanding in the community as for what these are. And it's gonna be only along the roads probably because we're only authorized to use them within the public rights of way, probably along like major arterials rather than residential streets. And, but yeah, we can start playing with them and maybe.
So if you like could come up with like how much 3 signs would cost, we could maybe do a couple this year and a couple next year.
Yeah, sure.
Is that realistic?
It is, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we can.
so if you would like have a picture of what it might look like and how much it might cost next month?
Yeah, sure.
Would that be okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, Rory, grant subcommittee, where's the?
Woohoo.
Saving the best for last.
How are we? What's this? Oh,
That's the
report.
last report.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to make this really quick and just hit so, as I said, I came in a few months ago, and this is an effort that was ongoing prior to that. So the first report I saw was from October, which was,
That's this one.
that's this one. I'm happy to pass that
That was the
around.
last time it was really touched.
Yeah, and what you all did was do a lot of in-depth research and came up with potential funders, particularly around a volunteer coordinator position. So since I've been bugging all of you with my background, I've talked about sort of outcomes and finding out what it is that this position would do, in what context they would be working, to sort of flesh out a story, if you will, as to why we would want money and why we would want this person. And we've had a couple of discussions in here. So after that, in the beginning of this year, you created what I called a position description. These are the kinds of activities this person would be involved in.
I didn't print that, sorry.
That's okay. I actually have a copy of all of this. This was called a vision statement, and it sort of reads like a position description. So I'm sure there's a way when we get to that point that the city does that. And my feedback was, okay, if they were going to, for example, report to a bond, I don't know, you have to surround, what would we be tasking that person with doing? How would you know that they were doing what we wanted them to do? That we would have a database, that we would have a certain number of new volunteers, and we would be tracking what their interests are. Whatever is decided as this would be the most productive use of this person's time. Just because it opens up the universe of who you could approach. I had a meeting with the BOM, we kind of talked through it, and I've been talking about, okay, what are the things that are coming up that we would really like to do that might not happen if we didn't have resources, because I'm a fan of asking for all the resources that you need, including the resources for a person to be working on these things. So that's all about packaging. But I know, and Emily gave us this feedback at a prior meeting, there's a way that the city does these, and there are competing requests, for grant subject matter. But we do have an example of where this has worked in the past with Sean from sustainability. So I think what I would like to do, if everybody is okay with this, is so prior to my coming on board, there was a lot of research done and some identification. And since I
say a lot, I could say
Well, there's
some.
enough that it presented itself into a report. So say a lot. It seemed like you did some work on it.
They did.
Yeah, that was.
All right, so we have that. We have beginning of a position description. We have some feedback about outcomes that we could discuss further. I don't think this is something that we need to resolve necessarily. I think it should be the right story. That would be the resolution of it. And that, if sounds like I am part of the subcommittee looking at this, that I would like to understand who within the city staff this impacts, how the city goes about it. So at this point, this is my suggested next steps. So it's unfolding. maybe not as quickly, as it is a seasonal thing, so it would be a great time to have it in place, but we can't control the grant cycles either of institutions. So we'll do it as we can. I would like to reach out now to you and to you, Yvonne, and talk to some of these people, whoever the person is on staff who would do grant work. Whether it's someone who has done work, well, it would obviously would want it to be someone who has done work with the city before. And this is just an informal informational interview,
I think even before that, we probably want to talk with, I don't know who all needs to be involved on the staff side, but I know Dr. Peoples wanted to be aware of things. So I think taking this plan, like, here's what we've got, here's our story. We want to start looking at grant opportunities and kind of getting the green light to start looking.
Okay.
So don't you think, like, so I don't know if that's you and James or Scott or like, I don't want like everybody to have to be there, but I don't know. And if you want to take it back and talk to them and see who, like, what's the right, does Rory send it to you and you send it up? Do we have a meeting? Like, how do we?
Okay. I
But
think
is that
a
what we're-
brainstorming session with James and possibly Scott. And I don't know if Scott's schedule would even allow it right now, but at least with James.
That's the thing. I wouldn't want us to spend any of our time on this when we could be looking at other things that are our priorities. If there is someone up the chain who's going to say, over my dead body, this is not happening. I don't suspect that they should, but what I tried to do is get at the story, the way of explaining it to them so they understand the context, and that it's not just asking for a part-time or full-time. I suspect it's a part-time, maybe, I don't know. But just saying, hey, I want another position here, because that's easy to say no to. But if you tell the story,
That we want to do.
yeah, we want to accomplish these things. We want to do it through these events. What we come out the other side with, and there's a really good example with Vincent at Blackburn, what he's doing with the bird sanctuary. He's doing it all volunteer, and he's this person. So if, I don't like situations where, like, if he goes away, the whole thing crumbles, and so that's the point of having someone who is there for that purpose. But what is the story that you want to tell? You all probably know better than I do, what we would want to accomplish. So we started talking about that. So I would like to socialize it in a way. I do think there's a component of it that should be the only thing that Dr. Peoples would need to do is say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, go ahead. And I talk to the people who day to day would be impacted by it. Okay, we get, some money, you're gonna have to put it into the financial systems, you're gonna, it's like, how do you need me to go about this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think once we have like kind of meeting with James and get a little bit more direction, we're ready to get to logistics, we can figure out like what the resources are and still get involved.
And we could
What
have some
roles we
internal
have.
conversations about how to present, that up the chain if you would like, if it would be helpful, I would feel great to agree on that. If you think we're in a position where you would get yeah, that sounds great.
I think
I don't
we're
know.
way off from that because there's a lot of yeses
Time
that need
wise
to
and
happen.
stuff.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a tough time. I think just a good idea would be to just come to a volunteer event, which we do have on the 26th of April. Just to sort of see how it goes.
Yeah.
And I can
Is
send
there
you.
another opportunity?
I haven't, I don't have anything set up right now, but they happen pretty frequently, so I can let you know.
Okay.
The next one.
Yeah, at some point, and it's us, I appreciate it, but it would be nice to understand how it happens and who it impacts internally. So I can have those conversations, but clearly the first conversations should be, we as a group feel that this is a good idea. And I would just counsel to not make it, I want a new position. It's more like, I want to accomplish these things we don't have the resources for, but if we did, it'd be great. Yeah. And then tie the results of that back to the subcommittee report and then expand beyond it as we can. You know what the story is that we're telling, what we're looking for, then we can do a little bit more research to see who might be the right fit for providing. I would love to get this person on board. It's just the way you go about it.
Okay.
So Lori, as the other person signed up, you have my full permission. Go forward with this and keep me posted when you want me to
Yeah,
join in.
but I think it's a good idea, and I think as a group, I've been hearing consistently that having someone who is here for the purpose of organizing our volunteer structure, and I totally get, you know, out the other end of that, you can get something that has long-term benefit, you know, to the city and to the people who want to volunteer, you know, and we understand who they are and what they want to do and where are the opportunities to align them. All of that does take an effort that you don't have the time to do, you know, and everything else that you're doing. So yeah, I'm happy to sell it, but clearly I'm not going to have to manage it on a day-to-day basis, so we need to do it so it makes sense, particularly for you, and then that it will be supported by the powers that be, whoever they are.
So it's almost 6:15. I'm gonna suggest that Warren and I talk about the video and stipend. We'll email you and we'll cover that, and we'll postpone Safe Streets to next time. And Emily, any updates?
I have a quick update. Tomorrow is election day, so that's a big one. There are 2 city charter amendments. If anybody has questions about that, I'm happy to help talk about that. Also, county has Prop B, and there was someone from the county that came to not speak on this, but did speak on this last city council meeting. So if you want to watch the YouTube from the April 1 city council meeting, she does talk about Prop B and some of that education. When we were talking about solar with sustainability, I think that was one of the updates from the Board of Commissions, is the Sustainability Commission is planning to, wants to expand the solar credit rebate, whatever the city does already, to also be for electric chargers at homes for cars and things like that, to have even more impact that way. The comp plan, I think Dr. Peoples went through the timeline at that same meeting, and I think the bottom line was we'll probably have something to share in June. So that will be around then. And then we just had the Tree City event, which was really nice. And just congratulations to the parks and green space for 42 years. Tree City, so that's really impressive, but it was great. It's great to see those that have long years like that, and it's also great to see the ones that have 2 years and they're just starting out. See that list grow, so that was great. And then the other thing was the Arboretum classification. So WashU and Bell Fountain have like is it just like recognized as an arboretum, and then WashU just got recognized as level 3, which is really cool. And so Yvonne was like, I could see the light bulbs going off.
Yeah.
But that might be
Blackburn
a cool,
Arboretum.
a cool project too. I mean, Blackburn Park has a lot of trees.
Oh, for the cotton park. You just have to have a certain amount of trees and species.
Oh, yeah.
To be rated.
You also
as an
have to have
arboretum.
Well, that's true. I think to get probably
get a
the
one,
level
yeah.
they have, you also have to have a collection plan.
Okay.
But I think number
Yeah.
1 is pretty
Yeah.
easy to do.
So it was cool. And of course, the chocolate cake is always good.
Yeah.
We missed you, trees. And I think that's the only update that I have, unless anybody has questions for you, Yvonne.
I don't really have anything other than busting out at the seams for
When-
spring.
When's your volunteer thing?
It's the 26th at 8 o'clock at Lorraine Davis Park. we're gonna do a honeysuckle sweep. And then I actually have another group that's gonna be planting a bunch of trees down at Marbury Park. And then we wanna plant trees in 2 other parks besides that. So depending on how many people show up for the honeysuckle sweep, we may break off some folks and send them with staff to go plant at some other parks. But for now, I'm just telling people meet at Lorraine Davis at 8 o'clock on the 26th. And if it's raining, you know, probably call it off, but if it's just a little bit rainy, we'll probably get rained on, so.
You have a group of volunteers signed up already?
I do for the tree planting, but not for the honeysuckle, so you can go on the city's website and sign up for the honeysuckle sweep. So the more the merrier. I'd really like to get rid of all the invasives at all possible on the creek. The address is 137 East Waymire Avenue. Or you can park at the service center, which is 145 East Waymire.
There's a giant honeysuckle back right behind the facility. Somebody's gonna take a chance on it.
At the service center.
It's like, it's a monster.
Okay. We'll get it. So, other than that, do we have another green space before the Arbor Day?
That's the next one we made. This, the volunteer is something from.
Oh, no, we haven't done that.
Okay, so
Right.
if we need to firm up anything for Arbor Day, we can do that.
Oh,
Make
Arbor Day.
And I have all the awards and the books, the giveaway stuff, so that's all squared away, and then we can talk about refreshments and make sure we have everything on board.
Dying of curiosity, is it going to Asbury Park, New Jersey, sure.
Oh, it is, yes, from Asbury Park. Yes,
That was Bruce Springsteen's first album.
yeah, I was walking down the boardwalk, saw it, liked it,
Real
rattled, yeah. And that's where I'm going to the wedding on 26th, so
Oh, no honeysuckle for
If
you.
you find it, sure, like that, I would love it.
I will look for one.
Short size
Hey,
water.
so,
Okay,
Sinan,
you got it.
any
I will keep an eye out.
updates?
So I'm working on the Green Hour City event with Ms. Cohen. And so the division of responsibilities is well set as for what the commission helps with, as well as what the Public Works Department does. But I feel like our strengths lie with more the logistics and the doing preparation, and our arborists, one of our arborists being there during the event. It's just the first parts, like flyers, getting the information out there, getting the information back from the residents. I will need some support with that, and Ms. Cohen is working with me on that. We have a meeting this week on Thursday to coordinate some of these efforts. We're hoping to get those flyers out soon, and so that you will see that out there as well as our residents. And from there, I've been receiving some calls about interested calls about it. I have just been keeping a list myself of those residents so that we don't lose track of them. But I believe it will be more of a process with an application and maybe a simple application and such, so that we can make it more like an institutional process and follow up that way. And doing that these days, getting ready to for the program to be implemented in September, sometime in September. Green Hour City 2025.
Thanks, Sinan. And I'm on that subcommittee too, so pull me in.
Okay.
When you need me.
Okay.
I need to excuse myself. I've been asked to sub the 6:30 yoga class.
Ah.
Hopefully
Oh.
Ellen-
You should show up.
So you too.
Yeah.
Are we adjourned?
I am,
Yoga
yeah.
Saturday.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so-
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're done.
Bye, Ginger.
Thank